Welcome back in, everybody. This is the Devil's Den podcast. I'm joined alongside Chris Georgiou again. Chris, how are we feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling all right. How about you?
Feeling pretty good. Confirmed top
Nice.
four.
Yeah.
So feeling pretty
Yeah.
good. Excited for next season. But today we're going to be talking about a surprise transfer that looks like it might be happening. We don't know yet. But then also we're going to talk about Diogo Dalot's contract and what it means for the team. Then we're going to be talking about some of the huge improvements we've made from last season
Very
with
big
Erik Ten
improvements.
Hag now.
Yeah.
Very big improvements. Some of the achievements as well, some of the
Yep.
players. Then we're also going to be talking about the FA Cup final because
Yeah.
that's what everyone's focusing on right now.
Yeah.
It's this Sunday against City.
Saturday.
So we're going to be
Saturday.
talking about this Saturday,
Yeah.
sorry,
Saturday.
against City. We're going to be talking about, our predicted 11 for United. We're going to be talking about a combined 11 for both teams. And then also, lastly, our scoreline.
Predicted score.
So, Chris, let's start out with some crazy transfer news lately. What's been going on the transfer front?
So just a couple hours ago, actually, huge reports have broken saying that we have agreed personal terms with Mason Mount from Chelsea. Someone who we've slightly been linked to in the past, but no one really brought much attention to it just because no one really thought it could actually happen. But apparently he's going to be our first signing of the window. What are your thoughts on it, Spencer?
Personally, so don't get me wrong. I think Mason Mount is a great player. I think there's definitely quality in there, and he's shown that. He's won, I think, their player of the season the last 2 or 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And Chelsea fans, if they're saying to themselves that he's not a good player, they're lying because they know he's a good player.
Uh-huh.
But for me, at the end of the day, you got to look at where are your priorities in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Do we really need another midfielder that's an attacking midfielder? Or do we need a striker, a goalkeeper? And for me personally too, I think a defensive midfielder might even be better to bring in. A Caicedo, someone like that. But what do you make of it?
I wouldn't say an attacking midfielder is our highest priority, but we've seen so much this season how much we rely on Bruno Fernandes to create chances. I think having another presence in there who is able to create chances, so we don't have to rely on Bruno as much, would be nice. But yeah, definitely not our number one priority.
Yeah. Also, on top of that, I'd like to add that Eriksen, for me at least, it seems like his legs are really going. Like he seems, how like Matic in the last couple of years, his legs were going. Like he's a quality player. I love Eriksen. I think he's a great player, but there's just a lot of times defensively where he's not getting back fast enough and he can't make the runs forward fast enough. So that is one thing that Mason Mount would add to the team. Mm-hmm. He adds a lot of energy, and
lot
so
of
I don't
energy.
know. Where do you think Ten Hag would deploy him if we did end up getting him?
So I see a lot of people saying we're gonna have like Casemiro as our holding midfielder, like obviously, and then have Bruno and Mount as like two high eights, like working off each other. And they're great at like finding space off the ball and like creating space for other players. So I think it would be interesting to see what Ten Hag will do with Mount, because in my opinion, that's kind of like the Frankie de Jong signing he wanted last summer, but he's not going to get. So I think this is like his next option, because with signing Mason Mount, there's no way we go in for Frankie de Jong or another like attacking-minded midfielder. So that's like his similar profile to Frankie de Jong that he wanted, that he had at Ajax, that he's going to be bringing to Manchester now.
I mean, it also depends too on what his price ends up being.
Yeah.
Because if it is what we've seen in some of the rumors, if it's around 60 million, that's a big chunk of money.
Think it'd be 60.
It shouldn't be 60.
I've seen between like 50 and 60 as like a price. I think I want to say that's too high, but I also think it's somewhat fair just for this market, for an England international from a top 6 Premier League rival, from a really young player to won the Champions League. I would say it's a fair price, although it may not seem like it.
The only thing for me though is this year it seems as though his value's gone down just because he has been sort of fallen in the pecking order. And a lot of that comes down to Chelsea just being really stupid in the transfer market for me, because I don't think it's really his fault that he's not been playing as much lately. No. I haven't been watching Chelsea consistently, so I can't really quote that. But just bringing in so many players, it's got to be really hard for.
They really inflated their team with so many different personalities. It was hard to really like have consistency throughout that season, which
A lot of the
yeah,
signings for them were just very questionable
yeah,
ones. That
yeah,
is it really something they need for
uh-huh,
the team, or is it just they're adding it because it looks
yeah,
flashy to add this player and stuff like that? So
yeah,
I don't know if we can really judge him based on this season, but I do think
hmm
that has hurt his transfer value a little bit. So I think we can maybe try to get him for 50,
yeah,
55 million.
hmm
But for me though, if our transfer budget, because we've seen some quotes of 100 million or 120 million or whatever,
hmm
if our transfer budget is truly 100 million and we're spending half of it already on Mount,
it must mean that
that's kind of
it
concerning.
must mean the transfer budget is not actually 100 million if we're spending
Yeah,
50 on Mount, because it does that doesn't make sense to spend
yeah,
half your
because
budget on an attacking midfielder when there are arguably two higher, more important positions we need signing. Um,
and we know that we need a striker, and we know that Ten Hag is going for a striker because we've been
striker
seeing so many
striker
rumors.
has got to be our number one priority. I think,
Yeah,
just because, I mean, look at the squad right now. Our only fit striker is Wout Weghorst, and he's gonna leave this summer too. So
well, I mean Martial, but Martial is just, it seems like he's gonna leave now after
yeah,
he literally he
yeah.
literally tore his hamstring. Tore it or did
during
it?
during Ten
I don't even know
Hag's
what he did.
final speech.
I think well, obviously probably happened
No,
during the
yeah,
game,
I know.
but
It's just
because
funny.
I know there's some
It's
stupid
funny.
fans on Twitter who probably believe it
I
actually
know.
happened during the speech,
Yeah,
but he's just so insanely injury prone that we can't rely
I
on
don't
him.
know.
I love him as a player, and I love it like, oh, it's
Yeah,
just so frustrating that he
very
gets
very
injured
frustrating.
so often. And then also at the same time, like I don't really know if it's actually a thing, but whether he actually has those attitude problems.
Hmm
But for me, it's just I wish if we could have a healthy Martial, this season would have been so much
I
better.
know. Yeah.
I mean, it already was pretty decent, but it would have just made the season so much better. So I mean, when you look at it, we got to get a striker in, and if
Yeah.
we spend 50 million on Mount, and that takes away from our ability to get a
hmm
striker, for me that's a big concern.
I think.
But
What are your thoughts on Fred's future at Man United? Now that if Mount comes in, does Fred have a future next year at the club?
I don't know. That's a good question because a lot of the midfielders are under scrutiny in terms of this is kind of Ten Hag's season to look at
Hmm
them and say, do I really want this player to be a part of the team
Yeah.
in the long term project, and do
hmm
they really fit into my scheme? And so for me with Fred in the Fulham game, he was fantastic when he came on.
Yeah.
I guess he started actually, right? Yeah, he
Yeah.
started that game. And that ball he played to
hmm
Bruno Fernandes,
It was
peach of a
beautiful.
ball,
It
peach
was
of a
one of
ball.
the passes of the season
But
in the last game.
the problem is though he has those just so
Those
rarely,
it's
and he doesn't. A lot of it is very
inconsistent.
sloppy normally.
Yeah.
Yes, he's usually very sloppy, but he does provide energy like Mason
hmm
Mount. I think Mason Mount is kind of more of a. He's just better attacking, but he still provides the same energy that Fred provides.
Yeah.
So I think he would be an upgrade on Fred. And Fred is getting to the age where he's 30 years
He's
old.
30. Yeah.
He still wants to play and he
Mhm.
still wants to get decent minutes. So I could see him move to, because I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the
Marco
picture of him
Silva
with
talking
Marco
to him.
Silva after
Yeah.
the match.
hmm
I could see him move to a club like Fulham. I feel like that'd be a good destination for him. If we
Yeah.
could get some decent money out of him, 25, 30 million, which I'm
Yeah.
not sure we'd be able to get out of him, but I wish we could. I
hmm
feel like that'd be good for
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
transfer window. But
And then
what do you think about also
it
Lenga too?
Alenga.
Alenga, you saw that he had some rumors that he might be leaving too
Yeah. I
for around 10
I think
million.
it's for the best. I don't really see him having a future at the club. Um, I think he could go and kill it somewhere else, but just at United we have such an abundance of wingers right now. It's he hasn't really found his place. He had like a little short stint under Ragnick when he was getting a lot of game time, but I don't really see him getting a lot of game time under Ten Hag.
Yeah, but for me personally, I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying that he's been treated unfairly. I'm not really such a
Why is
fan of
that?
him just because a lot of them are saying that there is a lot of untapped potential in there, but
hmm
I don't know. I feel like he just makes really, really poor
every time he
decisions.
comes on, he doesn't really change the game. He doesn't really do much to really show his worth.
Yeah.
Um, but I
When he
think
first came into the team, he had a little bit of a spark, but
yeah,
apart from that, he didn't really do
yeah.
much.
That goal against
So
Atletico in the Champions
yeah,
League.
but for me, it's just
Yeah.
it's not really worked out with
Uh-huh.
him. So I think he should go to a different club.
Yeah.
But let's move on to one of our players that we did lock down,
Yep.
and that's Diogo Dalot. He's
Yeah.
on a contract till 2028.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah. 2020.
with an option to extend. What do you make of that?
I think it's good. I think it's good that we're like locking down some of our younger players that have been in the team, and like it's creating like a long term squad. We've seen that like Luke Shaw signed a new deal. Um, Rashford's looking to sign a new deal. Martinez is quoted to like get a new deal soon. I think Dalot getting a new deal is good for the competition too. We've seen him and Wan-Bissaka like exchanging places a lot throughout the season. Um, but I think it is good to lock down like one of your like more consistent players too, to create that like long term squad, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what happens with Wan-Bissaka
Yeah.
because he's been a player who's been kind of rejuvenated
Mm-hmm.
lately, and it seems like he's been the one that's been the preferred option. I don't know if Dalot has
Yeah.
had some sort of slight knock or something,
Mm-hmm.
but he hasn't really been getting too many minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and Wan-Bissaka has been playing majority of the time, and
Yeah.
everyone thought
Dalot.
that he was going to be the one that
Yeah.
was
Dalot
going to be our long term
signing a
guy.
new contract means Ten Hag definitely sees a future for him. He definitely sees him like playing an important role, in his team, but he's also been trusting Wan-Bissaka a lot more recently. Which yeah, I don't know if it may have been maybe a knock to the low or not, but um, personally, I hope Wan-Bissaka stays. I'm a really big fan of him. Um, there is a lot of controversy like within the United fan base about whether like Wan-Bissaka should stay or should he go, but I think he should stay, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish he could, but it
Hmm.
seems like at this point, if we're giving Dalot that contract, I think he's gonna kind of maybe move on from Wan-Bissaka. At
You think?
least maybe not next year, but the year after maybe because
Hmm.
he seemed very adamant on getting Frimpong,
Yeah.
which kind of fell off the radar lately. But a player of his sort of quality
Hmm.
at right back to come in and
Yeah.
challenge
I
Dalot
I
because
just don't see a right back right now as like anywhere near our top priorities right now.
yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
having Wan-Bissaka and Dalot as those two right backs, I think it's really good competition between them, and I think it's something that we may need to address, but it's not imminent at all. I think we can like leave it for now, but if we have the money and Ten Hag has a target in mind, then if he wants to get a new right back, then sure, but it shouldn't be at the top of our list.
Yeah, again, a lot of it comes down to the owner
Yeah,
situation and what happens
definitely.
with if we get Qatar, if we get Sir Jim
Hmm.
Ratcliffe, if we don't get any of them.
Yeah.
And all that boils into our transfer plans and how much money we'll have.
Hmm.
Because if we have a lot of money, like you said, we could potentially go in for a fullback
Hmm.
and get some of those targets that we didn't
Yeah.
think we'd be able to get just because we didn't think we'd have
Hmm.
enough money. But also you have to think about financial fair play laws and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
a lot of factors going into that. But for now, I think that
Hmm.
Dalot and Wan-Bissaka are kind of the two. Like they're good for now. I'm not sure we'll be able to win a league with them,
Hmm.
but I think they're solid options.
Yeah.
And Dalot, for me, honestly, I think he's an underrated defender. A lot of people like would get on him about his
Hmm.
defending and stuff, but I think he makes a lot of pretty good
Yeah.
tackles.
He
Especially,
does.
was it against Saint Maximin one game? It
Hmm.
was. I don't think it was the final because Wan-Bissaka played that one.
Well,
But
he
there's
came
one
on at
game.
halftime. It could have been.
Oh,
Dalot played the first half,
yeah,
and Wan-Bissaka played the second half.
yeah. Dalot made some really good tackles there. He was
Yeah.
getting passed a couple times, but it was mostly like when Saint
Hmm.
Maximin would just cut inside and go
Yeah.
inside to our midfielders.
Yeah.
But
The one thing
uh,
Dalot is really good at is like marking his back post too, which we've seen Wan-Bissaka not do so great at
yeah.
times. But Dalot is very good at getting his back post covered. Um,
Also, he's
yeah.
much better on the ball than Wan-Bissaka is, and he can usually
Eh,
put a better
I
cross in. You
that
don't think so?
Wan-Bissaka, he's very unorthodox, I think, in the way he dribbles and moves, but it's very underrated in his like dribbling, his control, and beating the press. I
I
think
don't know.
he's
For me,
very
Dalot is
underrated in those
better.
aspects.
For me, Dalot is way better in that regard. Also, when it comes to becoming an inverted fullback,
Hmm.
I think Dalot would be
That's
better
true.
suited for
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
And do you
That's a
remember
good point.
when was it? It was the goal against Nottingham Forest away,
Hmm.
where Anthony cut inside and Dalot made that run, and
Hmm.
then Anthony picked him out. I thought that was for me, that was one of our best goals of the season,
Hmm.
just because of the intelligence of Anthony to cut in, cut it back, and then
Hmm.
played it through. And Dalot making that beautiful run. We've seen a couple of times where both Dalot and Wan-Bissaka have missed
Hmm.
really close chances, but I think Dalot is just better for me, I feel
and
better when he's attacking
product.
than when Wan-Bissaka is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a smart decision to go with Dalot, but
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, I don't. I'm not against Dalot personally. I'm like my biased opinion. I'm gonna pick Wan Bissaka, but I don't. I have nothing against Dalot. I do think
Okay.
he's a good player.
Well, let's move on to
Yeah.
the FA Cup game because that should be the
Yeah.
biggest talking point right now
Yeah.
because obviously he's got a big game coming up.
Yep.
Are you kind of nervous for it or how are you feeling?
Yeah. I mean, you should. I should feel more excited than nervous because it's a Manchester derby, but also it's against the City team who's in such great form at the moment.
Yeah.
And like our legacy is on the line currently, so
Yeah.
that's what's kind of making me a little nervous. But
I don't know.
it's also
Also,
go ahead.
sorry, you go.
Sorry.
No, you go. You go.
No, it's just it's a Manchester first ever Manchester derby in an FA Cup final at Wembley. We've already been there a bunch of times this season. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't even remember that the semifinal against Brighton.
Yeah.
It feels like forever ago now when we won and won a penalty shootout. So I mean, I think personally, I think we have more momentum just because they. I mean, I'm sure Pep will get them ready for the game and stuff, but they seem like they're kind of off this Premier League high of just winning the league and stuff. And
they've also been benching a lot of their players too in the last couple of games.
That's fair, but also people are discounting the fact that we just destroyed Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think we had a good game against Fulham. Their goal was really lucky. It was just off some corner. I think we had a good game, and also Sancho's been improved a lot lately. He's gonna start on the right wing now, probably for me.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about our predicted lineup first for the game for United.
Okay.
So we don't have to talk about City because
No.
they're gonna put out their best lineup and they're gonna be good. But with United, let's start out. So goalkeeper, obviously De Gea, right?
is gonna be in goal.
Center backs. Who do you
Center
have?
backs. I'm gonna go with Lindelof and Varane.
Yeah, I think that should be the obvious option.
Should be.
There were some people saying that Maguire, since it might be Maguire's last game in the jersey, that he might play. But if he plays, we're losing. That's what's happening.
The one thing, the alternative to Lindelof Varane I've seen is like Shaw coming in at center back, but I don't really want because he was good against them in the win in the league. But I think we need Shaw at left back.
I do too. I think.
And I think Lindelof's been doing a really good job as of late.
Yeah. So yeah, if we did do Shaw at left back or center back, sorry, we would have to put Malacia or maybe.
I mean, Malacia and Shaw were both excellent in the league win over City. But,
I think for the finals though, you got to put Shaw at left back. Got to be
Shaw,
Varane,
Lindelof.
Lindelof, and then right back. Who do you have?
I'm going with Wan-Bissaka. Although their City are most likely going to have Grealish at left wing, so I mean I think Dalot would be able to handle Grealish and Wan-Bissaka, but I think City have a very organized press, and I really like Wan-Bissaka like breaking the press and breaking the lines. So I would go with him, but I also wouldn't be surprised if like Dalot plays. It could be a toss up.
Yeah, I feel like since Wan-Bissaka's been playing lately, I'm thinking he's just gonna stick with the same team with Wan-Bissaka out there. What do you think for our midfield?
Personally,
this could be interesting because obviously Casemiro,
and then I'm gonna go with Fred and Bruno as the other two.
Fred and Bruno, okay.
Bruno is like obvious as well, but it's really between Fred and Eriksen for that other midfield spot, and I think we need energy in the midfield, and Fred brings that more than Eriksen. Eriksen is obviously a lot better on the ball, can play a lot better passes, but the way Fred is able to track other teams like players like he like against De Bruyne, he basically man marked him in the league, and he did very, very well against him. De Bruyne had really nothing to do. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Fred. What about you?
See, I want to go with Fred. I think he might go with Eriksen, but I would go with Fred too. I agree because I think on the same wavelength as you. I think that if we do want to win this game, we gotta really like dig deep. And Fred is one of those players who can, like you said, pretty much stop KDB from being as effective as he normally is.
If Fred brings his A game, he's top class when he brings his A game.
Even
So
if he doesn't play the best offensively, when he's an
yeah.
asset in the press and when he's an asset man marking
Hmm.
someone, because you remember we used to do that with who was it, Ander Herrera
Yeah.
on Eden Hazard in the Chelsea matches. If we do that to De
Hmm.
Bruyne, it'll make sure that it stops them from creating more chances and things like
Yeah.
that. So I think Fred would be the wise option,
Hmm.
and then also Bruno. I think Bruno too. He provides a lot of energy that people don't really think about. But the only problem with Fred is if he gets forward, I'm kind of concerned. Like Ericsson is just so much better when he's
I know.
in the 10 role and higher up.
Yeah.
So I could even potentially see Ericsson playing higher up and
Hmm.
Bruno coming back to the 8 role.
Yeah.
So I could see either way, but for me, just like you, I would go
Hmm.
with Fred.
Okay.
What about your front line?
Front line. This is interesting. It could go two ways. I would go with Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho. Although
What's the other way you
although
could go?
the other way would be Rashford, Veghorst, Sancho with but the only reason for that is that you have Garnacho off the bench. That's the only thing
Yeah.
because you have Garnacho starting, and then who do you have to bring on? You have Veghorst to bring on. If you start with Veghorst, then 60th, 70th minute, you have Alejandro Garnacho on the bench waiting to come on against a
It's
hopefully tired legs, but
it's so sad that we have to
I,
say that we're like, oh, like
I
who can we bring off the bench in the attack?
City.
Fucking
Look at
Veghorst.
City. Look at City's bench. They're going to be
They
bringing
can bring on
Alvarez,
Alvarez,
Foden, Mahrez,
Mahrez,
everyone. And
and we're bringing on Weghorst, bro. Oh, look who it is!
Yeah.
6'6", the Dutch
yeah,
piece of trash. Imagine though. Imagine the scenes. 95th minute. It's 1-1. Bring on
yeah.
Weghorst. The 96th minute. There's a corner for Manchester
Oh my
United.
God.
It floats the ball in. Oh, it's Weghorst! Ah! That would be insane, dude.
That would be a perfect
insane.
end to his United career, and I won't judge him ever again.
He'd be a club legend.
Club
at that
legend.
point.
Build him a statue.
Club legend.
Build him a statue.
Wow, Weghorst.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So okay, so you said that you would go with Garnacho, Rashford, and Sancho.
I think, although I don't know if Ten Hag would want that. I think he would
Yeah.
want someone to come off the bench and change the game if it's not going the way he planned it. So I think from Ten Hag's point of view, I think he's going to go with Rashford, Veghorst, Sancho.
I think it also is a big roll of the dice to play an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
Is he 18 or 17?
18.
I think he's 18. Yeah, an 18-year-old in such a huge match with so many implications too. Because I love Garnacho. I think next year is going to be his season where he really, really shows everyone who he is.
Yeah.
But for me too, against Fulham, I think he was lively and he probably could have scored some of those chances he had. But I think there's just something different about when he comes on. When he comes on in like the 65th, 70th minute,
he like adds this extra energy to the team, and everyone kind of gets uplifted by it. You know, the way he just like wants to take on defenders and like make runs off the ball. It's really good to see how he's in the team.
Think about if you're a defender, if you're a fullback and you're defending, let's say Sancho or Antony for majority of the game, and they don't really like run at you that often, so you're kind of just like you're able to go up and you're able to attack as much as you want. And then Garnacho comes on and you have a completely different role now.
Yeah.
So I think he definitely brings a different complexion to the game when he comes in off as a sub.
Yeah.
And for me too, I think it's important as we've been seeing lately, Sancho on the right, dude. Sancho on the right is just different gravy.
He's been really
so
good.
much better.
Very,
so
very
much better
improved.
off the right.
Very
It's sad that it's taken this long, I feel like, to see that he's more of a right winger than he is the left
thing
winger.
Is, when we bought him, we never played him on the right. It's like he always got pushed to the left, and then I don't know.
Everyone just thought, oh, he's going to cut in and shoot every time. No, he's good at creating chances for his teammates as well. And also, I personally like him better than Antony, not just because I like him. He has that like weird thing about him that even if he's not playing well, I just like him and I really want him to do well when he's struggling and stuff. But like when he's playing well, he's got this like swagger about him.
Yeah, just like high confidence.
And Antony, bro, I'm starting to get like, okay, I've been seeing some United fans saying, oh, he's not a flop. We need to make sure like everyone's been saying, oh, he's a flop, but then Man United fans will defend him like, oh, he's definitely not a flop. And I agree. I don't think he's a flop per se, but I think he's been somewhat disappointing.
We could have expected more from him, but
I wouldn't say he's a flop. But
it's his first season in English football, not everyone adapts to it right away. Some players do. Look at Holland, but some players do need to take some time just to adapt to the game. I think
Yeah.
I think we'll see the best of Anthony
Yeah,
in
I agree.
the coming seasons.
Yeah, and also with Sancho and Anthony, I think both of them could have, Rashford.
Mm-hmm.
How last season Rashford was not that great, and then this
No.
season Rashford has improved massively.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could have that step up as well next season,
Yeah.
and we can see that. So again, like
Mm-hmm.
it's important for Sancho and Anthony to be put in the right positions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just specifically talking about their exact position, but also with Anthony, we need to be playing a more possession based side
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And so I think it's going to be next season we'll be able to evaluate them more. So this year though, like when we come to this FA Cup final, I do agree with you. I think Garnacho on the left, Rashford up top, and Sancho
Mm-hmm.
on the right. I mean, he might end up putting Weghorst in there at start, which he hasn't done it in a while though. Like when's the last time he's done that?
I know. Well,
So I
because
think
Martial has been he's been fit recently, but
yeah.
I
But
don't
I
even
just
what would our bench? Who would we have to come on? We'd have Veghorst,
Pellistri,
Palenka, Pellistri,
dude.
McTominay.
Are we missing somebody? Is there someone on the team that we're missing?
From an attacking standpoint, no.
But think about next year, we'll have Ahmad and stuff too.
And
that'd be much
a
better.
striker.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, well, that's our starting lineup.
Okay.
So our predicted lineup is going to be De Gea, Rafael Varane, Lindelof, Shaw. We said Wan-Bissaka, right?
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Fred, Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, and then Sancho on the right.
Yep.
So I think that could be. Do you think that team could win the game?
It could.
You think it could?
It's that team will not. They won't roll over to the City team. I think, like a lot of people are saying we're gonna get like cooked, destroyed, but we've seen
derby.
before. It's a Manchester derby in an FA Cup final.
It's not gonna happen
at Wembley. It's not gonna happen. Hopefully it's a good game, but
what's your score prediction for the match?
Score prediction. If this is, because I'm trying to make it like partly objective, but also like I want United to win, so I want to have us on the winning side. But I might go with like the classic 2-1 United victory.
I was thinking 2-1 as well, but in the opposite direction.
Opposite direction.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a hopeful United fan too, and I hope we can win. But realistically, like if I really think about this match, we're probably not going to win. I'd say right now it's probably like 75-25 split. I'm not that confident.
It's not that much.
It's not
75-25.
That doesn't mean that we're going to get rolled over, but I could see it. I'll say 3-2. 3-2 Man City win. Unfortunately, I don't want to say that, but it's I just I don't want to be. I'm also not going to be that guy that says I told you so after, because I'm still disappointed. I would be disappointed after that. But I just think realistically, I don't think. Think about it, bring on Weghorst. Is he really going to make a difference?
That's
he's going to make us worse when he comes on.
Yeah.
So if we start him, we're already starting in a crappy position, and then if we bring on Garnacho, yes, that'll help. But at that point, will it be too far gone? And then if we don't start him and we bring him on, it's like, all right, well, we're tied.
Yeah.
Or we're down by 1, or we're up by 1. Is he really improving us? No. So for me, I think Man City are going to win. Unfortunately,
I think
I'll say 3-2.
Whoever wins the match, that game will be won in the midfield. So if Casemiro, I think, will have a good game, like no matter what. I think it's really a matter of whether, like
Fred,
Bruno,
Eriksen.
Fred or Eriksen, whoever plays, if they step up and if they track City's midfielders, because that's where City want to play the game. They want to have moving the midfielders around. So I think that is the most important position for us, is that who's going to be like on De Bruyne, like who's going to be on Gundogan. So I think if Fred plays a really good game, I think we can win.
Okay, I can maybe see that, but I'm just going to say 3-2. It'll be I think it'll be a close match.
Yeah.
And 3-2 City win, and you say 2-1 United win.
I do hope it's a good game though.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And if we do go on to win the game, it's just hypothetical. If we do, I'd like to ask, Who had the better season, Manchester United or Arsenal?
Manchester United. That shouldn't even be a debate. Come on now.
People on
Come
Twitter
on
though
now.
will
That should
be
not even be a
people on.
debate.
I shouldn't be, but some
Look,
Arsenal
okay,
fans are
let's look
pretty.
at both our seasons. We're both playing Champions League football next season. They finished second. We finished third. Who gives a shit? Come on, it's like one place. No one's gonna remember. We win 2 trophies. Even if we don't win the FA Cup final, we've had a better season than Arsenal.
I don't know about that. I feel like if we win the FA Cup, then I can confirm and totally say that we've had a better season than Arsenal. But if we don't win the FA Cup, I still think Arsenal has just been different.
Look at the objectives of the season. Arsenal, their objective from maybe not the first couple of weeks, but like maybe a month or 2 into the season, was to win the league. They were on top of the league for the majority of the season. They failed to win that objective. They did not reach that. Our objective really was not even, no one really had us in the top 4. Obviously, United fans would want us to be successful, like win a trophy.
That's preseason.
Get into the top 4. We won a trophy in the top 4 and possibly winning another trophy. This FA Cup final is irrelevant to whether we have a better season than Arsenal or not.
I think if you think about it objectively, though, preseason, both teams were just trying to crack the top 4. Both teams were aiming to get
Arsenal
top 4.
Are 3 years into Arteta's project. This is Ten Hag's first season. Arteta has gotten backing. They've 3 years into their project, and they failed to win the league. They did not have a better season than us.
I also do think when Arsenal fans get offended about us telling them that they bottled the league, bro, you literally held the league for 94% of the season.
I know.
That's more than any other team has ever done. That's literally more than any other team has ever done by far without winning the league.
To like Southampton and Liverpool and like another team.
West Ham,
that's where they lost the league. Those 3 draws right there. That's when they crumbled. And then like the City game confirmed it, the 4-1.
They literally had it in their hands. I mean,
they bottled it. There's no other argument. They bottled it.
I still think they did a great season though in terms of getting to second place from where were they last year? 5th?
Yeah,
something like that.
They started.
I think they were 5th. So both of us took a 3-spot lead or jump. Yeah. So I think we both had great seasons. I think you can also say, but at the same time, if we win this trophy, there's without a shadow of doubt Manchester United have the better season. Easily. 2 trophies, top 4. Nah, come on, wake up, Arsenal fans. Yeah. But before we move on, I want to talk about some bets that we had, Chris. Some bets that we had before top 4 is confirmed. We caught you on camera saying that if you're slurring your words and stuff. We literally shook on this. We put our hands out, we shook on it, and we shook that. I said we're definitely making top 4. It's confirmed. You said if we don't make top 4, then you win $100, and if I make top 4, or if we do make top 4, I get that Chipotle meal. Chris, what happened?
Let's wait until Maguire gets sold, because there was another bet. If Maguire gets sold for more than $20 million, then you'll be
Wasn't
fine.
it 30? Wasn't it?
No, it was 30. It was 30.
It was 30. Yeah. So if Maguire gets sold for 30 or more, then the bet is like they cancel out. But if they don't, then you owe me Chipotle. So I'm just gonna let you know. I'm gonna want chicken. I'm gonna want rice. I'm gonna want black beans. I'm gonna want some mild salsa.
I'm not listening.
Some veggies. Some cheese. Some lettuce. Extra chicken too, by the way. But beyond that, let's also talk about the season. So I think there's been a huge improvement from last season that people aren't really talking about enough. A lot of fans, especially opposing fans, have said, "Oh, like this season for United really wasn't that overwhelming, wasn't that great." I think it was a big achievement for Ten Hag to do what he's done so far this season, competing on every front, every single competition, and he won a trophy already. Yeah. We went far into the Europa League, where we beat Barcelona too, by the way. Yeah. One of the team that won the La Liga. Yeah. And not to mention, we got 3rd place, only behind City, and Arsenal had a great season. So I think you can't discount what we've done this season.
Look at Pep and Klopp's first seasons. Pep got 3rd with no trophies. Klopp got 8th with no trophies as well. Ten Hag in his first season, after us
Yeah.
having one of our worst ever seasons in the Premier League, finished third, has one trophy in the bag, and possibly a second on
Not
Saturday.
to
But
mention too, he had to deal with the owners. He's still having to deal with
and
the owner
he's
situation.
not playing with
Ronaldo,
a striker
Maguire.
the whole
Yeah.
season, not having a striker.
Well, Man City haven't had a striker for a while until this season,
Yeah.
but also if you think about it too, last year we had 58 points, which is our worst Premier League season since like the Premier League officially begun. And this season we've had 75 points, which is a huge jump, 17 points. And then also we didn't lose a single home match in the league after that embarrassing Brighton result. So we've been building the Old Trafford fortress back up. And then also Rashford hitting 30 goals is something that you can't go under the radar, because last season he was a total shadow of himself. Would he get like 5 goals
He
all
scored
year?
5 goals in all competitions.
And this season, 30 goals. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I think he's done wonders, personally. Also, we've conceded the least amount of goals in at home and in 10. Obviously, we need to improve some of those matches away from home.
Yeah.
Like the Liverpool match and the City match and stuff. Yeah. But that'll come in time, hopefully. Yeah, we don't talk about those. But
it's weird that we've had these like big ups this season, but then also like had that freak Liverpool result, the City result. Like, it's like how did these all happen in the same season? It's kind of baffling.
Quite the emotional roller coaster this year. But in the end, though, I think third place, 75 points, Rashford scoring 30 goals. There have been so many good positives about this season.
With our squad too, not really having the depth that we want, not playing with, the right keeper, not having a striker, like it.
And Lisandro Martinez solidifying himself as one of the best center backs in the league, and just so many good things going for us that I think we can build into next season.
Definitely.
So I'm excited for that. Definitely. But before we move on to next season, let's pray and hope that the FA Cup final goes our way. And that's all we got for you guys.
Yep.
Make sure, if you guys liked today's podcast, you guys go ahead and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and comment. You also listen to us on Spotify. That's all we got. That's all we got for you guys today. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Peace.